Welcome to Module 2, Principles of Programming, Introduction to QBasic. Today you'll be looking at what Introduction to QBasic, so far as what Principles of Programming is concerned. Objectives. At the end of this lesson, participants will understand the following. What is QBasic? Functions of QBasic. Rules of QBasic. What is QBasic? QBasic stands for Beginner's All-Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code. It was invented in the year 1963 by mathematicians John George Kemeny and Tom Cosses. These are the two mathematicians that indeed invented QBasic. Bear in mind that QBasic is an interpreter. Once say something is an interpreter, simply means that it read every line. It is an interpreter that read every line. Having said that, by saying that it's read every line, it's then translates that line being read and lets the computer then executes it before reading another. That you must know of. So QBasic, simply put, it is an interpreter, which means it read every line, okay, translates it, and then lets the computer execute it before reading another line. That you must know of. Bear in mind that each instruction starts with a line number. That you must know of. Don't worry, when we come to the practical aspect, you are going to better understand it to understand how or what it meant that each line then starts with a line number, okay, which you must know of. We'll be looking at that also as well. The next thing we'll be looking at is features of QBasic. One, it is a user-friendly languages. Now, QBasic is a user-friendly that is easy for everybody to use. As I just said, it's a user-friendly language. As I just said, easy for everybody to use. Two, as you can see, is widely known and accepted programming language. It is widely known and more or less it is being what is accepted, and more or less one will say that it's accepted programming language. Three, it is one of the most flexible languages, as modification can easily be done in an already existing program. So this simply tells us that QBasic is kind of user-friendly. In addition to it, it's widely known and accepted programming language. In addition to that, one can say that that you must know by saying that it is one of the most flexible languages. Okay, as modification can easily be done in already existing program. So one can modify the QBasic program. That indeed, because the QBasic program itself have an inbuilt program already that you can easily modify it and change it and then run it, and then it will automatically work for you. That you must know of. That is its flexibility and its functions also as well. Let's move to the fourth one. The language is easy and more or less simple. That's you can easily assign variables to it, and in addition to that, you can easily assign names to the variable. Very easy, of course. Okay, the QBasic language is very simple. That's variables can be named automatically. One can say that you can assign variables names to the variables. That you must know of. So it's an easy language. That's one can assign names to the variable. In addition to it, it also uses an English phrases with mathematical expression. Now, when we come to these segments, I'm going to throw more light on how one can assign a variable, a name to a variable, and also by saying that the program uses what an English what phrases with mathematical expression. Now let me throw light on this. It said a variable can be named easily. Now when they say with QBasic, it's easily to name a variable. Think of a variable like a data, or one can say an object that a name is assigned to that object, or one can also say that a person, okay, someone. So you watching, or you then you being a participant, for instance, you are a person. So when I bring that to program, I will say that you are an entity, okay, an entity. That data is assigned to you, so being your name. So when I mention Paul, okay, you are an entity. So a person is a person. Now a name is assigned to that person. So the person become a variable, and that name that is assigned to that person become a data. So when I say Paul, you know that it is you, and you can just respond to that. Don't worry, when we come to the practical aspect of types of variables, I'm going to throw more light on this for us to better understand. So it's easily uses an English phrase with mathematical expression. That we must know, and how easy and flexible QBasic is. The next thing we'll be looking at is rules of QBasic. Rules of QBasic. Every programming language has a set of rules that have to be followed when writing a program. The following are some rules of QBasic languages that we must know. 1. Bear in mind that all QBasic programs are made up of series of statements. All QBasic programs are made up of series of statements, which are executed in that order in which they are written. So bear in mind that the program is being executed based on how you have written it. So for you to better understand this, this simply means that all programming language have rules, set of rules that one must follow, or one must also know before using them to design or write his or her program. It's very, very important. Now a typical example is that, let's say let me use a language like I'm an Ewe, and I speak an Ewe language. So now when I go to my hometown and I want to talk to, per our tradition, to talk to an elderly person, there are some set of rules that I must follow, so that to draw the elderly person's attention. I cannot just stand up and then just say whatever I wanted to say. So the same thing applies to programming languages. All programming languages have a set of rules that that one must follow. As you can see, QBasic, for instance, 8 sets of rules. Have you understood that? Let's move to the 2, which is the second one. In addition to that, so far as the second rules are concerned, every statement should have at least one QBasic command words. Every QBasic statement that you write must have at least one command word. Okay, that you must know. Now, in addition to that, bear in mind that the words that QBasic recognize are called keywords. They are called keywords. So those words that QBasic recognize, so far as the command words are concerned, they are called keywords that you must know of. 3. The third one we are going to talk about, for you to better understand it, to understand that all the command words must be written using some standard rules. All the command words have to be written using some standard rules, which are called syntax rules. which are called syntax rules. So the syntax rules talks about how they are being executed, how those commands are being used, the way in manner you should follow by using those key word to execute a particular command. Now let me show you a typical example like Psalm. Okay, so Psalm, for instance, is a function. So what is its syntax? So its syntax talks about how it is being used. It's going to be equal to, okay, Psalm, okay, into brackets, okay, then the cell ranges, okay, the cell ranges. So that talks about the syntax, okay, how it is being used. So that is how it is in QBasic also, okay. So the way in manner these standard rules are written are called syntax rules that you must know of, which are called syntax rules that you must know of. So the syntax rules, as I just said, and I show you a couple of example here. So basically that is just that. So the question here is this: what is syntax? Syntax is the grammar of writing the standard in a language. So syntax is a grammar, okay, as I just said, the way in manner you communicate, okay, the process in which you communicate. So syntax, as I just said, by using the Psalm, by saying the syntax of the Psalm is equal to Psalm into bracket cell range. So if I want to say pick up or pick something up, I'll have to mention the person and tell the person Mr. Paul pick, okay, the folder for me. So that becomes a grammar of language being written, and that is known as a standard language. So syntax is the grammar of writing the standard in a language. So basically that is just that. Having said that, what are syntax errors? Now, syntax errors are generated when an improper syntax is detected. So for instance, as I just give a typical example, Psalm is used equal to Psalm into bracket cell range. When I go by saying Psalm equal to, and then I bring bracket close and I say cell range, this is improper syntax. So it will know it will be detected as an error. So QBasic give you that flexibility by identifying every error, okay, which are known as syntax error, for you to correct them before executing, which is very that bring that flexibility, that rules that you must know of. So if you see that when you write a program and the program is not executing, bear in mind that program, okay, that command you have written or the rules you have written is a syntax error. How should I get in it? Okay. So having said that, this brings us to the end of the first lesson, which is Introduction to QBasic. So thank you guys so much. Catch you in the next lesson. See you when I see you. That is just that.
Armstrong Computers, we're leading the way, bringing ICT to your doorstep every day. Where vision meets excellence, we stand strong, transforming students where they belong. In the halls of knowledge, we light the spark.